And welcome back to Kings of Influence. I am one half of your hosting team, Ray William Johnson.
Over here on the other side of the table, I'm Epic Lloyd. Every Wednesday at noon, we're here in my back office bringing you the topics of the week, our little discussion, our two straight dudes' opinion about stuff that matters. If you haven't followed us on Instagram and Facebook yet, you can't follow us on Instagram, and don't bother with Facebook, but follow us on YouTube because that's where we are right now.
My apologies. I didn't get to send out the text that I generally get to because again we're over our credit limit because we have too many people following our texts.
Ooh, that's a good sign.
I know.
I like it. But if you wanted to, here's the club you can't be in right now.
Okay.
You could have texted the word Kings to the number 43506, but now you're too late.
No,
now
the club's too big.
Now the club's too big.
It's too exclusive for you at this point.
You're gonna have to get jumped in if you want to be a part of the Kings of Influence club. Anyway, no, I'm just joking. But hey, it's Wednesday. It's noon. We're here every Wednesday. Thanks for joining us. We got Katie's over here on her little mic.
Hello.
And what a week.
What a week. You said you saw the Joker movie.
I did. Saw the Joker, man.
Was it as good as everyone's saying or as bad as some are saying? What's the deal?
It's a great movie. It's an amazing movie, and it's a really nice tie-in to the Dark Knight series.
Okay.
And I think it's a really nice an exceptional piece of acting. And it's disturbing, but it's an exceptional piece of acting by Joaquin Phoenix, for sure.
Apparently, there's commentary on both mental health and the healthcare system.
For sure, yeah, it's right there. It's right there. There are some issues with it that bug me, not about the movie, but more about, I guess, Hollywood in general. But I don't want to say too much about it because it's a little bit of a spoiler alert. But it is one of those things that annoys me about Hollywood in general when their stance on things in real life versus the stance on things they promote in movies and glorify in movies don't add up.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Of course.
And this is another example of that. Now, I wouldn't change the movie making. I would change the people's bitching about real life stuff and their approach to that.
Right.
But the movie is definitely worth seeing. And if Joaquin Phoenix got an Oscar nod for this performance, I wouldn't be surprised. And that would be hilarious, seeing that someone already won for the same role.
The same character? Yeah. That'd be interesting.
And it kind of ties into that sort of well as well. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of the ads or some of the promos at the very end, but his outfit by the end of that movie looks similar to the Heath Ledger character.
Nice.
So it is pretty sweet. It is pretty sweet.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So it's worth the hype, I suppose. Is it violent? Because it's been getting some flack because it's super violent. How violent is it?
It's violent. It's a type of violence where there's a limited enough amount of violence where the violence that happens is like, oh shit. You know what I mean? It's not like someone's getting killed every other frame or any of those things. It's poignant.
Okay.
And
the right kind of people die. Is that what you're saying?
No, not that. I'm saying the right amount of people die for, like a Rambo movie. When somebody dies, it's like there's 900 people dying in that movie. It doesn't matter. But in this movie, you don't expect it, and it happens in a sort of a realistic way. So that's all I'll say. You're gonna love. I think
they die of old age, like that kind of.
They die slow of old age, alone in their house.
Got it.
I think you're gonna love the movie, and I think you're gonna be impressed, and then we'll talk about it maybe next week.
You're not the boss of me.
You're not the boss of me.
You don't know what I like.
What else is going on?
Is this podcast sponsored by that movie?
Yeah, sponsored by the Joker.
Not the movie, just the actual Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
Sending in money. So I want to talk about this. I don't want to say it's a slow news week. It's just that all the news is talking about the impeachment, which I figured that would happen.
Sure.
And I don't really want to talk about the impeachment because we kind of talked about it before, and I don't want to talk about it till things pick up and we're in sort of an historical moment.
I told you my stance on it, man. Call me when it's all rise.
Yeah. Call me when the revolution starts, brother.
Call me when it's all rise.
But I did find this story that was interesting to me. There is a couple of Canadian parents or groups of parents, and they are suing Epic Games, which makes Fortnite, over the fact that Epic Games allegedly intentionally made Fortnite as addictive as cocaine. That's what this lawsuit states. So they are suing on the basis of they intentionally made their video game highly addictive and marketed it to
To children.
youths. And I believe we've talked about some things in this vein before about I had predicted that one day social media companies will be made accountable for how addictive they make their platforms and their websites and stuff,
Yeah.
especially if they're aimed at people underage. And now we're seeing Fortnite get sued. Now, on its face, it sounds ridiculous. Oh, a video game is addictive as cocaine. Like, that's a stupid lawsuit. It'll get thrown out. And it might.
Yeah.
But here's what I dug into it a little bit. Here's what the suit claims. The lawsuit claims that Fortnite causes the brain to release dopamine at a rate similar to cocaine, thus leading to a chemical addiction in children. That may or may not be true. That's just what the lawsuit's alleging. They believe that the parents believe that that Epic Games created Fortnite to be as addictive as possible. That I actually believe.
Yeah.
That actually works in their favor to make you want to make a game, you want as many people to play it as possible. They also claim, so here's where it gets interesting. They also claim that Epic Games hired psychologists to dig into the human brain to make the game as addictive as possible. So they are building the same case that the people who sued the big tobacco companies are making. And I don't know if this case is going to go anywhere, but I do predict at one point some case will get somewhere, because I do, especially if they're using psychologists and research to make these things as addictive as possible and then marketing them to kids.
Yeah, I think there'll be some. There's already ratings on games and things in terms of for mature audiences or for younger audiences and that stuff. I mean, who's suing the parents for not taking the games out of their kids' hands? Like, you're grounded. Case dismissed.
Yeah, no, I definitely think in these situations that there's a lot of parental accountability that needs to be taken into consideration. But the question then becomes, are these big media conglomerates not responsible at all
Yeah.
if they do in fact do these things that this lawsuit is alleging? Because it sounds wrong to me if they are in fact trying to dig into the human brain to make this as addictive as possible and then marketing it to an undeveloped brain.
I
AKA
agree.
a kid.
I agree, and I think they're definitely doing that.
I
I wouldn't be
probably-
It
yeah.
doesn't surprise me at all. I definitely think they hire psychologists. They probably don't call them that. They probably call it
Consultants.
consultants or
Youth
develop,
consultants
Right,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
or they 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 just probably don't put that spin on it. They don't say how can we make it as addicting as possible. They go how can we make it as engaging as possible.
Ooh,
All of a sudden it's engaging, and you're
Right.
like, ooh, that gives me a corporate
that's
boner.
a sexy word.
And yeah, I think that there should definitely be because that's a fairly violent game as well. And
Yeah, I never played.
I don't know
Is it
that
cartoony violence or is it like gore violence?
it's a little bit more cartoony than Call of Duty or one of these other games that's much more realistic, but it's definitely shooting people and killing them with
Okay.
with machine guns and any kind of weapon you could think of. I haven't played it very much either. I don't think that the addicting part of it is the game part of it is addicting. The gamification of it is addicting. The fact that you can never really win, you can always get an upgrade. There's always different challenges. You can always give yourself a quest. What new? Because some of the things you win are dumb. Like, I don't give a shit what color camouflage I have on the handle of my freaking gun. Who cares? But that's what these kids like. I think the other part that's really addicting, though, which is harder to prove is bad, is the social aspect.
Okay.
This is where people meet their friends. This is where people socialize. They talk. It's like saying, it's like suing the NFL for making flag football with your friends addictive. It's that type of a thing where it's their lives. It's the social aspect of their lives. And this is something that I've never experienced because I never really got into I got my headset on, I'm talking to my buddy, but
Yeah.
everybody that seems way more engaging than playing alone because none of these kids play alone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that game is designed to be played online.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if you could play alone, although I've never played it.
You can play with strangers, but I think it's more of me and my 5 buddies have a team, and we're going against your 5 buddies, and we're going to talk about strategy and all these things or whatever. That's hard to have too much of a problem with. But
Well,
Y-
I'm not sure if anyone has a problem with that aspect of it, although I'm
Right.
not sure. Not this lawsuit doesn't have a problem with that aspect of it.
Yeah. But that's the addictive quality I think that they're talking about is how do we make this as engaging / addictive as possible? Well, give groups of people a one goal together. So then if I'm not there, it's
Mhm.
like I matter. I count. I have worth. That's the other thing. It's providing a value to a kid. He's good at a video game. That number says he's good. That gives him a sense of identity and he's good. That's a thing, even when you can you can be that kid who smokes a lot of cigarettes and that becomes like your thing. It's part of your identity. It's part of the lore of you. They're smart,
And then it kills you.
and then it kills you.
And then it kills you.
I just don't think this is the first video game that's been addictive, though. Like,
Yeah,
Maybe not.
you know?
Well, there's a difference in something being addictive and intentionally making something addictive and then marketing it to kids. Like I was told, man, I'm gonna get this wrong, but it's my wrong example is a good example. In some countries, they're not allowed to market sugary cereals to kids. Like they can't run commercials on them.
here,
Okay, so it's here.
yeah,
I think I was told about that it was like that in Europe, and now it's probably here.
yeah. I mean, you should be able to remember like tricks are for kids
Right.
and Lucky Charms and all those. You don't see those commercials with kids in there anymore, and that's
But why?
yeah, exactly. That's a great point because it's like no, this is bad for children. Don't
Right.
show kids that this is what this is wrong.
Right. It's candy for breakfast,
Yeah,
and you're making them want it. And in these cases, at least, no one is holding the parents accountable. They're just saying, "Look, don't show these commercials because kids are going to want this."
well, I don't even know if Fortnite like, I've never seen a Fortnite commercial. I don't think it's about the commercials. I think it's about the pursuit. It's one thing to make something addicting and then market it to kids. It's another thing to research what is addictive to children
Mhm.
and then utilize that. I don't know, it's two sides of a bad coin,
Right.
but that second thing feels a little bit darker.
Well, it is. That's exactly what the tobacco companies got sued for and lost.
Because they have endless money. And cigarettes don't cause cancer, right?
Right. Well, right. And they were intentionally putting chemicals in them to make them more addictive.
Well, and it's like the vaping things now when they have the vapes that are like tasted like cotton candy and
Save vaping. The vaping warriors are so funny.
oh, God.
Like they're gonna die on that hill. It's great.
No, they can't get up that hill. They're too wheezy.
They don't have the lung capacity. Did you hear that? Oh, that the one of the vaping company CEOs resigned over that, and then he was replaced by a guy who worked for Big Tobacco.
Yeah,
It's
guy
like
probably
so
had
funny.
a soul. He actually felt bad about it, and he's like, "I don't want to do this anymore." They just replace him by a devil.
It's so funny. But again, I think we're gonna see more of this. This is a story that got buried in the news. I don't know if it'll go anywhere, this particular case, but I think we're gonna see more of this as time moves forward.
Yeah,
Because at some point, a social media platform or a video game company will do exactly what this lawsuit is alleging. They will research what makes things addictive to kids, and they will make a game based on that, and they will get kids addictive, and people will start to want to hold them accountable.
yeah. I think that's great. It's tough because there are jobs you can get as a gamer nowadays, so it's not a completely futile effort. It's not like because you can make a living playing Fortnite.
Sure, the odds are not in your favor, but
Yeah, but the same as being in the NFL, about the same as being in a Major League Baseball, or being an Olympic level ice skater or something. Maybe even better. There's way more slots for pro Fortnite players than ice skaters.
I don't know how many pro Fortnite players there are. I hear
mean, it's
people
not-
say
it's not
that,
even
and
just-
it's
not
not
even-
likely.
It's not even just pro though. You don't have to make a living by being a pro player. You could just be a gamer on
That's true.
on
You could be like
Twitch.
a streamer or
whatever.
Right, but in both of these cases, you could play other games. See what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I would say that a game that intentionally gets millions of kids addictive, but also makes a handful of kids, a living is still bad.
Yeah. Yes.
If that is in fact what
But
they're
what
doing.
would they change? What would they change? I don't think that I don't think there's a large marketing Well, Fortnite, yeah, I guess is a commercial. I just never seen too many commercials. I don't see posters. I don't feel like we live in a commercial era anymore. I think the best way kids hear about things is from their friends.
But that's not about the ads. It's
Well,
about
you
the
said Mark.
mechanics of the game. Oh, and market it right, and market it to kids. Now, I don't I don't watch, like, kids' cartoons that often, so I don't know what's being marketed to kids
Right,
or whatever, and marketing may not mean commercials.
right. What does that mean?
It may mean just designed for kids.
So do they take things away from the game? Do they remove parts of the game? Do they?
Oh, you mean what are the
What would they
so
do?
they would be first of all, they'd be financially liable, first of all.
How big of a lawsuit do you have to hit Fortnite with for it to even graze them? I think they want to make sure they
A
don't lose
a s
because it opens up
a
a
small one,
floodgates.
right, a small one. It
Yeah,
only has to be a small one because of that. Because if you sue Fortnite and for this, and you only win, like, 10 grand, that might be a lot of money to you, that's nothing to Fortnite, but what that does is that tells everyone
yeah, it's
else who has a
precedence.
kid, yeah, that plays Fortnite that they can sue you for 10 grand, and then they're screwed.
Yeah,
That's why these big companies pay people off.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
100% why, because then they don't technically lose, they
Right.
settled out of court.
I just want to know these parents. Like, who are these parents?
They're in Canada. That's all
Yeah,
I know,
they're
and they have two
Canadian.
kids that are addicted to this game. But what I don't get is like, how can you quantify the damage to the kids' lives? Like, what how do you put a dollar amount on that? And what's so bad about the kids' lives that they're playing video games? I don't get it. You know?
Yeah, and how are you? Have you handled it with the kids yet? What are they doing right now? Are they still playing the game? What are you doing with these? I want to know a little bit more about these parents.
Yeah.
I think that they have a valid case. I think it's going to live or die based on who they are as humans.
See, I think it'll live or die based on what Fortnite actually did to make the game addictive. Was it a happy accident? Did they actually bring in psychologists and give them the directive of like, let's make this
I don't think there's any accidents about it.
100%?
You think it's an accident? This is like a leap, but you think it's an accident that the action on your phone when you pull down your Instagram and to refresh it, do you think that's different than pulling down a roulette wheel? Do you think there's a reason why that's the same or not? Do you think there's an accident?
I think I think in both cases they do a shit ton of market research.
Hell yeah.
A ton.
Hell
Like
yeah.
they have human beings play with it. They do all kinds of stuff.
Hell yeah.
Um,
What's the most?
so the question is I mean the direct what was the directive of it? Was it, hey, we need to make this as addictive as possible for
Well,
these
I think
kids?
as soon as you identify your market, then you're already in there. You're already figuring out what's most addictive to them. If you're like, okay, these are the kids that play our game. They're 10 to 15-year-old mostly. And you go, okay, well, what kind of missions do they like the most? What gets the most traction what kind of g- weapon mods get the most traction based on our analytics? As soon as you do that, then you're marketing it to kids. As soon as
True.
you do what your market wants, oh shit, then you are.
True, but look, man, if the tobacco companies can get sued for the same thing and the opioid manufacturers can get sued for the same thing, it's only a matter of time before someone tries to hold the platforms
Oh no,
accountable.
I agree. I'm saying they totally did this. They
Probably.
they should totally be guilty of this.
Probably.
I'm wondering what they can do to change it. What they would have to do to actually make it right if they want to do it, which I don't think they do. But what would they have to do to make it right?
Here's something interesting. You notice that like last year, um, is it your phone or if it's the platforms, but they start to tell you how long you've been
Yeah.
on the site or on your phone or whatever. Things like that. I think they do things like that because they outwardly want to show that they care how much time people are spending on their platform. Now, whether they actually care or not, I think this helps them with public perception and things like lawsuits because they can always point to that and go, "Look, we tell people how long they've been on the site and that it's longer than it was last week."
Yeah. I think it's all I think there's no emotion involved. I think like Facebook and Instagram are seeing the writing on the wall. They're seeing that the social perception of social media is changing and that people think it's bad. It's just like football. When kids get concussions, They don't let their kids play football anymore. And a number of kids playing football in high school right now is down drastically from what it was 15, 20 years ago. And that means that there's less people playing, which means the levels go down. So it's not whether they want to do it or not, it's self-preservation. Because if they don't do things that make it okay to do social media, then it'll slowly, slowly die.
Yeah.
Because just like I was just talking to Jillian inside, she's on a sober October, no social media. And more people every day are saying that, like, God, I feel so good when I don't look at my phone once a week. And if they don't do that, they're just going to it'll be like cigarettes. Not like cigarettes, but sort of like cigarettes. I don't know. I think the cigarette industry is going to be fine globally, but it's certainly not what it used to be.
Yeah.
The heyday of cigarettes is done.
Now there's football.
Exactly. So I think we may be on the decline of the social media era because people are just fed up with it.
I don't know about that. I think it'll change. I don't know if it'll completely go away because people want to be social. I'm trying to get my camera to focus.
Oh.
People want to connect with other people, and social media, for better or worse, has allowed us to do that. Right?
I agree. I think what I'm saying is people are starting to give themselves their own limits of like, if
Right.
I pick my phone up 90 times a day, that's too much. Like this doesn't
90?
make me feel. Yeah, there's one of those things where it shows you how many times you pick up your phone.
Yeah.
And it's something like, it's between 60 and 90 times a day. It's ridiculous.
Damn.
Yeah, and you don't even notice it. It's ridiculous. And then you feel like sometimes I'll put my phone in the other room and I'll just count how many times I have that impulse to pick it up.
It's probably instantly.
It's not for me. It's not instantly.
Okay.
But it's so frequent, and so there's no reason behind it other than I wonder. I wonder if I got a text. I wonder if I got that great thing in the mail or
So
whatever the hell that is.
if you're awake 16 hours a day, how many of those hours do you think that you're looking at a screen of some sort, be it a TV, a phone, or a computer? Considering the work you do,
Ugh.
and considering we're looking at screens right now, technically, because we have our monitors here.
Yeah, dude, too many. Almost 80% of it.
Yeah, for me it'd be 13 or 14 probably. Even when I work out, I have the TV on and I'm watching like a TV drama or something while I'm lifting weights.
I hate it, but I'm also not able to do anything about it. Like I can't. I mean, I guess I can, but
I'm helpless.
I've thought about doing like a screen-free week, but it sounds so boring.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Read a book like
Fuck
a
that book.
loser?
I know. I think you have to be in a place where it's more conducive to that than LA because there's not a lot. You can go hiking for an hour or whatever, but
Ugh.
I know.
I mean, you could do outdoors things, or you could just like spend time with loved ones.
What are you gonna do? Talk?
Yeah.
I know. Or go surfing or go to the beach or something.
Do you like to cook? You cook.
I do like to cook. Yeah, I like to cook.
Who are you people? What is all? Oh God.
Is this your version of a horror film?
Yeah.
I mean, what if we got into another war, right? What do you think the role of social media in that conflict would be? And
starting the war,
right?
Starting the conflict that
right?
Yeah.
Like psychological warfare?
I mean, yeah. You go to war with another country, right? They have Facebook.
Here's how it would start. So it would be the whatever the rebel faction, we'll call it the rebel faction.
The rebels.
The Confederates, the people trying to break away from what we consider the normal society at the time, be it right or wrong. That rebel faction will start as an online group and will grow as an online group. That's how it'll start. That's how it'll be involved. And that's how they'll communicate.
Yeah, until we just shut them down. And then what role does Facebook play in those conflicts? If you're an online group that is, say two small countries are at war and America is really not involved, but we're allies with one of them, almost like Israel and Palestine.
Okay.
What is Facebook obligated to do in terms of battling that communication between those two? Do you then become an active partner in shutting down one of the sides as a fucking social media platform?
I don't think they're legally obligated to do anything.
Right.
But ethically and also so that they don't get in trouble, they just like the way make an attempt to shut down fake news and conspiracy theories, they should shut some of that stuff down.
Right, but what I'm saying is those are not black and white issues. Like
Agreed.
when you're Google Maps and there are like again, I'll just use Palestine and Israel as an example. They're fighting over a border. And there is a argument about what is what. When you're Google Maps, who do you put on the map?
You annotate it with an asterisk.
You just put an asterisk
Yeah.
under conflict.
Some people think it's
right. TBD.
Debatable.
Ask your mother.
You just put
Ask your mother.
you put like a dotted line.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Good Lord. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Crazy. Well, I hope they win.
You hope they win?
Who?
I hope the people suing the game.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that was okay.
I hope they win if that's true. If that's not true, then it's ridiculous. And comparing it to saying that it's as addictive as cocaine, saying Fortnite is as addictive as cocaine sounds absurd. And they're not going to get the public on their side by making claims like that, whether it's true or not. But
I mean, I don't think that they're probably not making that statement out of thin air. There's probably been studies, and there's definitely been studies that say social media is addicting as cocaine.
Yeah. The World Health Organization, I forgot to add this. The World Health Organization last year defined online game addiction as a mental disorder. So that all ties into this as well. So the WHO absolutely sees this as a problem, as the addiction to video games as a problem.
Yeah.
So if a big company is investing money to intentionally exacerbate this addiction, yeah, that's a problem and they should lose.
Yeah.
If that is in fact what's going on. Now, let's talk about Will Smith and his TikTok.
Uh-oh.
I haven't seen it. Is it good?
There actually, I haven't really either. There is no uh-oh. This is just kind of one of those slow news week topics that we can talk about.
Will Smith, y'all.
So Will Smith recently opened up there's no controversy behind it, but he recently opened up a TikTok account, and I guess he put stuff there. He probably has some kind of social media manager that helps him with all this stuff, because I know he has a presence on
Facebook.
YouTube. I haven't seen him on Facebook, but I assume he has a presence there, and probably Instagram as well. Like, he is doing the social media thing, and he's hitting it hard, as are a handful of other celebrities.
Who are 50.
Sure.
That's the thing that's special to me, is that he's 50 or whatever. It's not like he's the age of the people that he's talking to.
But I'm hoping that this is the direction that celebrity has to go.
You mean because they realize that PR is moving to a different place?
Yes. And that the Tom Cruises of the world, bless him, his method of and the Brad Pitt method of like, well, I'm so famous, my face is on billboards and magazine covers when I do a movie. I don't need social media, right? I think that should fade out and is slowly fading out. And what Will Smith is doing is actually really smart, and it's looking more forward into the future. And this guy's still doing top billed movies. He's got a movie about to come out, Gemini Man.
Well, I think it also depends on the person. Will Smith, it doesn't surprise me that he's that way. Same with like The Rock and people who are into stuff like that, people who are outgoing, extroverted people. That's what Will Smith strikes me as. Tom Cruise, and like I just saw an interview with Joaquin Phoenix on the night shows.
Right.
And he looks awful. He hates it. He doesn't look awful physically. He just looks like he doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to promote. Yeah.
It's part of the game that he doesn't want to be a part of like, this is so contrived. This has nothing to do with my craft. I'm just here as like a puppet, which is funny because you're just an actor, which is sort of a puppet.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it doesn't surprise me Will Smith's doing it. I think it'll definitely be beneficial to him. I think, but it seems like a good fit. I don't see Tom Cruise doing TikTok.
No, but the next generation's Tom Cruise, I think, will have to do TikTok, and I hope that they have to. I hope they have to like eat shit like the rest of us.
Right.
Where you've really got to like struggle and make one fan at a time. I'm not saying that anything Will Smith has done or Tom Cruise has done has been easy by any means, but it's certainly a different path when you have multi-billion dollar corporations advertising the vehicles that you are in, be it your record label, the network of the show that you're starring in, be it the movie studio. They put hundreds of millions of dollars into advertising these people's faces to sell their movies. We don't have that. We
Yeah,
build it one fan at a time.
but I almost hate that though. I hate that the front of YouTube now is 60% movie trailers and network television shows and all that stuff that used to be real estate for young and upcoming creators is
Uh-huh.
now just all swallowed up by that same giant machine. And if you're not building your fan one at a time when you're Will Smith. He probably had 3 million followers the day he signed up. So it's not like he had a underground thing.
No,
You know,
no.
that's more like a Lily Singh
No, no,
getting the
no.
TV show.
But I'm hoping that what he's doing is inspiring, like, you know, young wannabe actors or whatever to really get in that social media game and to not ignore it. And it'll be detrimental if you ignore it. It'll be detrimental to your career, to your acting career. I will. You're right. Will Smith didn't have to eat. We'll say eat shit in the same way that you and I did, or that other influencers did, or other people in entertainment. Um, he probably had to eat it in a different way. He probably had to sign his life away to some shitty record label because I know he got started out rapping and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I don't know. I think it's like it might just be the equivalent of, when I was growing up and acting and stuff, you would get your headshots printed and you would do a mailing to agencies and you would spend time marketing yourself in a certain way. And I think there has to be a percentage of your career that go towards marketing yourself. But let's just take musicians as an example. That is something that you need to practice, you need to put time into, you need to put effort into, and you don't have the time to make a quality TikTok 3 times a day if you're putting time into the actual craft that you want to do. So you have to make sure that it's a tool and not a distraction,
Sure.
because then there are people who want to do just the TikToks and just the Vines and those are people that should be doing that. But you can't do it all at once and
No.
be good at it all. It produces shitty content, you know?
So you think in the future there will be that we aren't headed in the Will Smith direction? That we're gonna stay in sort of the Brad Pitt lane of I don't do social media and I don't have to.
Uh, I think you'll see less of that. I think that everybody will have social media worked into the arm of what they do. I don't think as many people will do it on a personal level. I think about the same amount of people will do it on a personal level. Because those people who are introverted and like limit the amount of access you get to them, they're they're interesting. If you could see somebody, it's like the difference between Snoop and Jay-Z. They both work. Snoop does everything. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's yes to everything. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, I'll do that. He's everything. And Jay is more, I'm just gonna do these giant projects, and you don't see him here and you don't see him there. And they both work. So I think social media will be a reflection of the society as it becomes acclimated to the platforms, but people will hopefully stay the same.
That's true. Although Snoop is if Snoop were married to Beyonce, maybe he'd have to do less.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
also, I think that people of every age, they're just always anomalies that just aren't going to be on social media. Like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who just won a bunch of Emmys for Fleabag, she doesn't have any social media,
Yeah.
and she's younger,
Yeah.
so it
She
makes
was
her
in
mysterious
Yeah, and it's
and
also
interesting.
so people hate it. Pete's like that. Pete doesn't want to do anything on social media at all. And it's not because he doesn't like people. It's because he doesn't like how it makes him feel like he gets sucked out of the real world.
Yeah,
And
I get that.
especially when you have a daughter or a child and you want to be like with them. There's nothing more aggravating to me is when I see a parent with a kid and their parent's face is just stuck right in their phone, or they stuck the phone in their kid's face, even worse. It's like, ugh.
Well, I gotta say, I'm happy that Will Smith and some of these other people, The Rock and Kevin Hart have embraced social media as part of their overall strategy.
Yeah.
Because I remember a decade ago when I was doing that show Equals Three, and I would not beg, but you would really have to convince celebrities to come on and like make a cameo, and most of them didn't. Most of them said no, but you'd get like a Gabriel Iglesias or a Key and Peele
Yeah.
or one of the guys from the Wu-Tang Clan or Robin Williams, or Zac Efron did like a little cameo side video one time, and you'd get these people on, and it was always my hope that I could acclimate more celebrities to the online world at that time, and that it would help in the future. I don't necessarily know if it did, but
I
it
think, yeah. What's worse, you having an opportunity to bring those people onto your show and benefiting from that, or now that they all have their own sites, they don't need you anymore?
I don't care if they need me, that wasn't the point. The point was to, like, change the perception of it. Like, that was the goal, right?
Sure.
Removing me out of the equation at all. The goal was, like, can I get more celebrities to say yes? Like, more recognizable faces, and get people who are watching this show to perceive it as a thing that celebrities should do. And in a way, Epic Rap Battle did a lot of that too. You guys had
Yeah.
some traditional, we'll call them traditional media.
Sure.
Now that it might not sound like it might not sound like anything to people listening
I
right now, because you
Yeah.
see celebrities online all the time doing all kinds of
It
stuff.
happened.
But then it absolutely did not happen.
Yeah.
It was a negative.
I think there was it, that whole couple years we were ahead of the curve, but it happened so fast. It was like in 2-3 years. It was, if you're not,
It was no one was on and then everyone was
it
on.
was
Yeah.
like, stop being a moron, man.
Right.
Look at this. Which again kind of bums me out in terms of it used to be something that was sort of for us, and now it's not. And you keep on, you have great, like, the fans that we've built and the fans that follow the show, they still love the show. You're just dealing with a different business now where all the money's back where it was. A couple people made some money off stuff.
It's
A
back
couple,
in traditional.
yeah, some
Yeah.
new stars got made. But the beautiful thing is that, and for people like Will Smith and for other things, it's, you don't have to rely, if you build yourself a good following, you can do what, you can really rely on them as your judge and jury in terms of what you do. Like with the Kevin Hart thing, when the Oscar people were like, "No, you can't do it." He got such support from, I think, his people and around the comedy community. He was like, "Man, I don't care."
Yeah.
And it gives you that power of being like, "I trust myself, I trust my fans, and I, one appearance on Fallon is not maketh a star anymore." And so it's not that you don't have to be that pressured by a couple of different channels anymore. So
Yeah. I
it's
I
nice.
I yeah, I feel you. I got to say, having fans is like the most powerful self-esteem building thing I've ever felt.
Yeah.
And I say that because, you and I were in Hollywood and we work in and around Hollywood, and Hollywood is nothing but rejection over and over and over again. It's part of the game. You audition 50 times to get 50 different times for one casting director to be like, "Yes, you're right for this role."
Yeah.
Or whatever, which means you got rejected 49
And
times.
you did a bunch of work, and like you practiced and did it in your
Yeah.
house and got somebody to ask you how it was, and you start to love a role, and then yeah.
Yeah, and then they tell you no, and they don't really tell you why, and then you start to feel like, well, shit, maybe I'm just not good enough. There's a lot of that, like, oh, I must not be good enough
Yeah.
for this. But when you have fans, at least for me, anytime any of that stuff would happen, you can always lean back and look at these people and say, I have people who love watching me do what I do.
Yeah.
So I am good enough. Fuck these Hollywood morons.
Yeah.
Do whatever I want.
It helps you hold your head high. And for me, I mean, fans or audience, I think an audience
Audience,
is
right.
a little bit better of a term for me anyway. I think it makes me feel like, yeah, some 25-year-old casting director didn't like what I did in the room or whatever. I I can put my stuff out into the world and let the world decide, not this other person. The problem with all the Will Smiths of the world is that now that's who you're competing with. It's tougher to become a social media person now than it was. I wonder what the next thing's going to be. TikTok or these. It's just everything's becoming faster, quicker, and more frequent, and that is not my game. I can't handle that shit.
Well, I would, what's funny, if you want to take it a step further, I would argue that the Will Smiths of the world are also competing with the Donald Trumps of the world,
Yeah.
or maybe even the Kardashians. And that is to say, Will Smith can do all the stunts that he wants, but it's going to be hard for him to compete with like shitty low level drama.
Or but is it even competing anymore? Like, I don't think it's taking from one to do the other. There's so like we just said, you're on your phone 80% of the time.
Yeah,
You could watch a lot of stuff.
that's true.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. And there's so much content being made everywhere. Have you ever scrolled through Netflix at all the shows
Oh
they've
yeah.
made and you're like, I've never heard of any of these.
Right, and then you scroll on one series or movie, and you're like, "Oh, this is from India," or, "Oh, this is from South Korea," and then that light bulb goes off, and you go, "Oh my god,
There's
there's an
a
entire culture who's made content that I've never even seen."
Right. In Spanish, in
Right,
Japanese, and all these things. You're like, oh my God. All we're doing is making content right
because
now.
we're looking
And
at screens all day.
yeah,
Wow.
man. Okay.
Uh,
Well, that was fun.
All right, let's take a breather. Play a little stoner thoughts.
Deep.
Oh, the sound's back on. Look
Yeah, there
at
we
that.
go.
Worried about it. All right. Guys, we're playing Stoner Thoughts. You know how to play the game. We don't got to explain it every damn time. Just play along.
Just play along. Leave them in the comments if you got a good one. Maybe Katie will read it for us and we'll react to it up here too.
All right, here we go.
Stoner thoughts.
There it goes. As a kid, a weekend with no plans is like torture. As an adult, a weekend with no plans feels like winning the lottery.
A weekend with no plans as a kid. Yeah, that didn't happen to me very much. But it was always like you have to mow the lawn and the plans were being
know,
made
right?
to me by somebody else. Yeah, gosh, I try to remember weekends as a kid. What the heck did we even do? Hang out with friends.
We'd like play kickball with our friends, or if there was a new Nintendo game out or something, we would do that. But now, if I have a weekend where I don't have anything due, like anything scheduled, God, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Even when I go somewhere like with Kelly or something to relax, it's like kind of scheduled.
It's on the schedule.
Yeah.
Just that act of putting something on the schedule is the potential to be disappointing for someone. Josie's the opposite. She loves scheduling things. And I'm getting better at it. But for a while, it was like anything going on there was stressful because it occupied a certain amount of mental space. I'm like, what am I forgetting? So
Stoner thoughts.
It would be cool to have a movie shot by two directors and two versions released showing the protagonist and antagonist story. I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah.
Like two different movies.
That's like Grundle. You ever hear of Grendel?
Grendel?
I
Grendel.
don't know.
Grendel is the perspective of Grendel of the Beowulf story.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Well, there have been books that have done that kind of thing where you do one side and then the other, but very few, if any, movies have done that. Not that I've seen. You'd almost need a TV show to explore the
So it'd
depth
be like
of
a
it.
double feature.
Yeah, I would think
That
so.
would be fun. Somebody call Quentin.
Especially if the second one changes your perspective on the first one in a
Right.
dramatic way. That would be great.
Yeah,
Right.
like who's the real bad guy?
Almost like a choose your own adventure.
I
that you-
feel
as a different character of everything,
I feel like the Star Wars prequels tried to do that and couldn't really do that.
like through Vader's perspective.
Yeah,
They never were gonna succeed at that.
no.
Stoner thoughts.
A person who is 80 years old has seen almost a third of U.S. history,
That's so crazy, man.
right?
Yeah, there's that Joe Rogan joke of people are if they live to be 100, let's just round it up. Slaves were only 2.5 people ago, and the Civil War was
Oh wow.
a person and a half ago, and
Now,
like the 1850s.
no, because you're putting lifespans together, and you should be putting the dates of birth together. So like someone will, all right, so they're born and then they get to 80 years old. They don't then have another kid at that minute. Like, they have a kid when they're, like,
Well, I'm
20.
talking about generations.
Right, so generations, it's, like, 4 or 5 back. But, yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's
It's
just
crazy. We're such a young country, and that's what I always realize when I travel. Because you go to Europe or you go anywhere else, and they're like, oh yeah, this building's 2,000 years old. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh okay. Versus like in America, it's like, oh, this is 100 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
Qualifies as being old.
Yeah.
Scientology started in the 50s.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at this house from 1947.
Right.
It's in the museum.
like, even our religions aren't that old.
Yeah. Man.
Stoner thoughts.
When everyone has a self-driving car, advertisers will pay for your car to choose a route that goes by their stores.
Oh my God.
Think about that.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Think about that. We will be taking the scenic route. You'll have to pay extra to go the direct route.
You'll have to pay extra. Jesus. That's so real.
Waze already does that where they like pop up little things. They're like, hey, you want to take a 5-minute detour and go to Subway? And I'm like, no, I don't. I just want
Really?
to go home. Yeah. If you use
Whoa.
Waze.
It says you want to go get like some food.
Yeah.
Really?
That might work at 2
Wow.
a.m.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. In fact, I do want to go
See,
to Taco
I think
Bell.
that should be illegal. I don't think that those things should be. I don't think that anything that has to do with something that is like safety at all. Yeah, you can't be. That's crazy. That's blowing my mind.
See, I don't think so. If you pay for a service, I don't think they should be allowed to advertise to you on that thing you paid for.
Well,
You don't pay for Waze.
Waze is free.
Right. But if they did that on like Uber or something, I would have a problem with it.
I think that it's just too dangerous of an app to mix advertising with. It's like if your surgeon was like, "Hey, you want me to put in an Acme lung while I'm down there?" Or, like it's like they say he's too important of a thing to be messing with advertising on. Oh my gosh.
An Acme lung.
Yeah. A Wile E. Coyote.
Stoner thoughts.
The most unrealistic part of any superhero show is the part where the superhero can hold down a 9-to-5 job, stay out late, and function properly on almost no sleep.
I don't know. That's what makes him super.
Well, how does Batman do it? Because that bastard ain't got no powers.
He does look tired all the time.
He does. Maybe that's why he's like cranky all the time.
He does look hoarse and hungover all the time. Just
That's
pay
why
up.
his voice sucks.
It's always. He's
Hello, Alfred.
I've been smoking cigarettes
Right.
since 4 in the morning.
I haven't slept in 4 days.
I'm so grumpy. Just get a night's sleep. Have a grapefruit or something. Jeez. Too many push-ups. Yeah. That's what, Superman, he shouldn't need to sleep, right? He's just charged
He's
up by
super.
the sun.
Right.
There you go.
He doesn't sleep. He waits. He's like the Terminator.
Crazy.
Stoner thoughts.
People who leave their shopping carts in the parking spaces are probably the same people who feel the need to comment how they don't like a post.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
That makes sense. The same people who are just causing trouble for no good reason.
Right. I don't like this. Like, wow, that you actually took energy out of your day to
To say that.
to express this thing that people might not even read, probably won't read.
Yeah. I can't leave a shopping cart in the middle. I can't do it.
I can't either.
I'll
I
go all the way back.
I will
to the
too. I
door if
walk
have
back, and
to.
Kelly makes fun of me, and I'm like, "No, I got it." She's like, "But there are carts here, and there, and just put it with." I'm like, "I gotta walk it
No.
right back to the thing, because them's the rules."
Yeah, or there's like the little gate thing. You can put it in that little garage part they sometimes have.
Sure.
I'm not gonna be the guy that adds to this. Y'all can be, but
I'll
not me.
confess, I don't leave the shopping cart in the middle, but I have like propped it up on one of those little islands
Oh God.
in the
Ah.
in the parking lot. So
Do you
Ah.
bring your dog into restaurants too?
restaurants, no, outside, like at a patio,
Patio,
outdoors.
Patios. All right.
not inside.
I was in where the hell was I the other day? At a it's supermarket, I think. Someone brings their dog in.
It's a very LA thing.
This is this is when being afraid of conflict hurts us. I, as another person, it probably was on me to be like, "Yo, what are you doing?
Get your dog out of my
You
grocery
can't
store.
bring a dog into
Yeah,
the grocery
I
store."
totally agree.
No, you shouldn't do that.
I
What are you
totally
doing?
agree.
But no one said anything. I didn't say shit. Hopefully the manager said something. I was in, where was that the other day? We went to Lake Tahoe, and there was a restaurant there, and some guy was trying to bring his dog in, and the manager at the door, where the teenage host was like, "You can't bring your dog in here." And this guy threw a fit. This guy got belligerent and angry, like, "This is ridiculous. What are you talking about? This is our dog. This is a member of our family." And I'm like, "Dude, no, it's not.
Right.
You will eat that dog after 3 weeks if the apocalypse happens. That just drives me nuts. Dogs on planes. You better do another one, dude. I'm gonna lose it.
No,
I'm gonna lose
Wow.
the
I'm
casket.
with you on the grocery store thing.
Dogs on
I'm with
planes.
you,
You bring your
like,
dog on the plane?
A few times.
keep
Yeah.
the pets away from my
Listen, she's
produce
8 pounds. She goes in a little tiny zip up thing and she goes under the seat.
What if I'm allergic to your dog?
I don't know.
or your kid.
You don't know. You don't know.
I don't know.
What would you? Who do you think gets? Who do you think gets to stay?
What do you? I'm sorry. Who do you think gets to stay for?
Who
what?
do you think the plane should be for?
For people.
Right. So why is it okay to break these rules because it's inconvenient for you? I'm browbeating. I'm sorry.
You're
I'm being
killing
a
it.
dick. I'm being
You're
a dick.
killing it.
Listen,
It just drives me nuts.
I just say I don't think I'm part of the problem because my dog is small enough that she can be stowed under the seat. I think when people are bringing like a huge dog that's taking up a lot of room, that's like a bigger problem.
What if I want to bring my parrot? Then it squawks
My
the whole
my
time,
giraffe.
or whatever it is. You know, I just
Or your emotional support turtle.
yeah, or whatever it is. I don't like taking advantage of the system because you'd be fine on that plane without your dog. It has nothing to do with your emotional support.
I don't like people who think the rules don't apply to them. That
Yeah.
bugs me. Like, come on, we all gotta park in the lines. You gotta park in the lines too.
Yeah.
Let's just do the thing.
All right.
Planes I have less of a problem with, unless their dog is like out in the aisle and all that. It's like, come on, we're in this like smelly tube together, and you added an animal
Yeah.
that I can visibly see.
You're taking more than you're giving.
right.
You're not doing anything other than taking. And I'm not trying to browbeat you here. It just gets on my nerves because I have dogs. I'd love to bring my dog on the plane. It would be a hell of a lot easier. Anyway, next.
Oh.
Next.
Stoner
Sorry.
He's gonna
thoughts.
cry. There's nothing better than realizing right after you wake up that you won't have to face the repercussions for the terrible choices you made in your dream.
Yeah, I've had those dreams.
Yeah. You ever have those things where like your wife or your girlfriend wakes up and you did something in a dream that they're mad about and they're like mad at you in like real life? What kind of bullshit is that?
Something, yeah. Or like I had a bad dream that you were awful to me, and I'm like, okay. She's not necessarily mad at me, but she's in sort of a shitty mood all day.
Yeah, and
you're
it's like I didn't do it.
I didn't do
It's not
anything.
real.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I've had those dreams where, like nightmare sweat dreams where I've committed some crime or I hurt somebody in some way, and I'm like caught, and I'm like staring down the barrel of a life sentence or something, and I wake up like,
Yeah.
oh my god, thank God! Like I've definitely had those dreams.
I had dreams that I'm waiting tables again,
Oh god.
and I'm like in the weeds, and I'm behind, and I just can't do it like I used to be able to.
Yeah.
It's a
And for
nightmare.
whatever reason, yeah. And then you wake up, and I'm like, oh my god, thank God I don't wait tables.
For those of you who have not weighed tables, being in the weeds is a term that refers to being very, very busy, but not being busy and handling it, but being busy and behind. And there's a certain type of hell-ish quality to that where when you make one mistake, it starts to become a landslide, and then you forget somebody's appetizer, and then all these people are mad at you, and you're working in a job that depends on your tips, and it can give you. I would get nightmares for sure when we were waiting tables, and they're very, very popular. So that's what that means.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, no, it's like either you're in a section like there's too many tables for you to wait on everyone all at once, but like the people who are at the restaurant don't even understand
Yeah.
that. They just think like, oh, why can't you like get everything out here?
Yeah, and it just it landslides, and then all of a sudden, something comes out overcooked, or you forgot somebody's salad that was supposed to go first, and then
I'm triggered.
I know for real.
So triggered. Okay, well, that's all the stoner thoughts. I want to talk for a few minutes before we go about, because again, it was a slow news week. But you had mentioned that this influencer Logan Paul has this boxing match coming up,
Oh yeah, with
Right?
KSI, yeah.
right? So I want to talk a little bit about that, knowing very little about the entire thing, because I think I sorry, I'm getting a little tripped up here. I have some thoughts on the antics of it all. The antics angle of influencing. And I know sort of at the end of the show we do a little talk about, the ins and outs of being an influencer and all that
Yeah.
stuff, which we've kind of already done in this episode.
Well,
But
yeah, go ahead.
well, first of all, I'm not trying to like shoot anyone's game plan down. Bless these two guys if they agree to fight and build up the fight and act all crazy to each other and act like they're enemies, whether they are or not, and then go in and fight and make a bunch of money and entertain a lot of people. Bless them. But I want, up and coming influencers to know when they see this that that's not the only path to building an audience and to getting people to notice you and getting people to notice your work and stuff. And while I'm glad they're doing what they're doing because it makes them happy, I don't want influencing to go in that direction. I don't want it to go in the direction that I see politics going.
Yeah, romper room and circus acts. I'm curious, and maybe you can pull it up, Katie, of exactly what the details of this thing are. I think it's a rematch because the first fight was a draw.
Yes.
I think
I do remember the first fight, you telling me about it.
I think it might be in America this time because it was in the UK last time.
Okay.
And I think they might not use headgear this time. Like
Ooh.
they had those
Yeah, the first one was in England.
yeah, they had those headgear things on.
Yeah.
And I think they might not use them this time and because they want it to be more like a real boxing match or whatever.
They want to get Dane Burmage.
Right. Dang damage. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was supposed to take place in May and then it didn't happen. So now it's supposed to happen on the 9th of November at Staples Center. It'll be a professional boxing fight.
Oh yeah, the opening like the opening acts, I don't want to say that, but the undercards are real fighters.
Yeah, Devin Haney and Billy Joe Sanders.
Did they not have real fighters last time?
No, it was his brother Jake and another
right.
influencer, and then one other match of two other influencers or social media people. So this one is actual, which is gonna be sort of ridiculous because when you, maybe not, but when you see back to back the different levels of skill,
Yeah.
it might be a little bit of a laugh. But that said, the people in the audience are all going to be fans of either Logan or KSI or
Of course.
both. Yeah.
No, they're very much, like I said, I don't want to disparage anyone for sort of satisfying their fans
Yeah.
and doing that. And I'm sure they'll put on a very good show. But yeah, my advice and my message to anyone who wants to influence or get in the game or anything like that is like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to go that route. You don't have to. I know it's this whole game of like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And there are a lot of different versions of look at me. And this is just one of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of versions. Like one of the bigger channels on the internet now is a guy who does challenges.
Okay.
I'm going to stay under the pool for 24 hours, or the last person to take their hand off this Lamborghini wins the Lamborghini. It's that week after week after week after week.
Oh, wow.
And even some of the big channels like Rhett and Link, it's like, it's an eating challenge. Does this turn into a taco? What does this taste like when you dunk it in mustard? And that is the internet. There's not a lot of channels with millions of subscribers and followers that are short films that are funny, or like what's the biggest sketch channel that does actual length sketches that are not Smosh, probably Smosh.
Sure, but there are other lanes. Maybe not short films, but they're like so there's boxing and beating the shit out of people that you've been talking trash to online.
Right.
And then there's like a makeup tutorial. There's different stuff.
Oh yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Different stuff.
And hot ones, and there's new concept shows that are coming out, and I think there was as many influencers that make their money on being positive as they do off making money being negative.
I hope so.
For every Logan Paul, there's like a Hannah Hart or a Passano or a Candy Johnson, like you were saying, somebody who's super positive. Even Shay Carl in his day was very positive, But it's certainly attention.
It seems like the antics and the negativity get attention, at least in 2019, from what I can tell.
And in fighting,
people love feuds.
Right, fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all part of the same thing.
But that's been happening since Muhammad Ali.
Not on the internet.
No, but there was no internet. One of the reasons Muhammad Ali is as popular as he was is because he was the king of talking trash.
Yeah.
And they just followed the whole thing along. And in that time, you look back on what he was and who he is now and the things that he's done. But in the time, a lot of people didn't like him for that reason. A lot of people was like, well, just shut your mouth and fight, man. Don't be so, don't talk. Why are you making fun of this guy? Like, why are you being so mean to this person? Joe Frazier, he would call him ugly and the whole thing. So that has happened in fighting forever. Conor McGregor and all those guys.
Sure, but that's one way to do it. Is the boxing way. There's also the fucking Tom Hanks way.
Who's the Tom Hanks of the internet?
I don't know.
Well, that's my point.
You might be right, and I hate that I see that trend going in that direction, and which is probably why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get that, like, yeah, boxers talk trash. It's a thing. It's a thing. But I don't want that to be everyone's thing.
Yeah. No, I
Because
agree.
because that's what politics is becoming, and it's awful.
I'm thinking about that comment. I don't see a lot of things in this upcoming elections. I don't see that. Well, we're so early yet still. I'm looking at the candidates on the left right now. We know who the candidate on the right's going to be. I'm hoping that the Democrats don't get that way.
Like, too dirty?
Just, yeah, like bring themselves down to that level of just slinging mud. There's been mud slinging in politics since the beginning of time. So, but I'm hoping they can play that higher card.
You know who might be the this is the closest we're gonna get to a Tom Hanks of influencing. Would probably be like someone like Gary V.
Gary
Not
V.
quite Tom Hanks, but definitely someone who pushes a more positive message.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know his story. Did he come up on the internet? Was he just
Yeah.
Was he always an internet guy? He's like a motivational speaker. He's more of a Tony Robbins to me.
Kind of. Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects to what he does, I would say, but yeah, he motivates people a
You should
lot.
definitely be
It's kinda
Gary
his
V
thing.
for Halloween.
I should be Gary V for
You
Halloween.
should totally be Gary V for Halloween.
Okay, I don't even know how I would do that, but all right.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know who it was until just now.
Right.
I had to look him up.
He's like a motivational speaker, business guy,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
get off your butt and get to work type of a dude. He would not have liked me yesterday. He would not have been proud of me yesterday, Gary V.
Oh, because you were lazy?
Because I sat on my butt the whole day.
But he's leveraging social media, and he's doing it all in a certain way. And I know there is no, like, equivalent to Tom Hanks or whatever, but this is
Yeah.
someone who has a massive following and a lot of respect from a lot of people because he gives so much away for free.
But what I would say to this is the thing that's great about Tom Hanks is, I mean, his public persona is one thing, but his skill as an actor, like what is the skill that is traded in on the internet? It's so varied.
It's not a skill, it's attention. Attention is the commodity.
Right. What I'm saying is acting is a skill.
Sure.
And he's very skilled at that. So attention is the commodity on the internet. So what talent do you use to garner attention? Because you can do that in the movies. You use your skill as an actor to garner attention from the public because they adore you because of your skill, like a football player, like a baseball player. Your skill, and then your personality is layered on top of that. There are plenty of boring football players.
Well, talent doesn't equate to success on the internet because there are no gatekeepers. What equates to success is, do people want to watch you? That's why guys like Logan Paul are so popular. I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm saying it doesn't matter. He doesn't have to use that traditional talent. All he has to do is do what he's doing. Fucking box people and trash them and all these things and create those antics, which it seems like he's really good at.
Yeah. So's Kanye West.
In fact, if all he did was showcase his talent, he probably wouldn't be as popular. And I say talent as in traditional.
Well, yeah,
talent.
I guess my question is, what are the talent lanes on YouTube now that require talent? Singing, dancing.
I would say singing, but like a lot of times you don't even need talent to do a version of that.
Yeah, that's what scares me the most. Because when you're talking about making good content, what is what is the art in the content these days? And I don't want to sound like the old guy, get off my lawn, because I'm sure because making a good Vine or a good TikTok or whatever, making that TikTok.
Orange flavored Tic Tacs.
TikTok is kind of the Tic Tacs of breath freshers.
Right.
There's a talent to that, but it's just different than what I consider or what I enjoy. You know, watching a good show or a good series or a good band or something. I like that much more than watching a YouTube video usually.
Well, I think attention on the internet is divorced from talent. And to be fair, a lot of acting is divorced from talent too.
Yeah, for certain places.
For certain actors who I don't necessarily want to trash, but like,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm not looking at Selena Gomez and going, "Wow, she has got some talent."
Yeah,
When she acts, like no, like that's not why they cast her.
exactly. And there are plenty of times when you get a guy who's not an actor at all, and you put him in a scene, and you get a great director, and
And
he
they're great.
does great.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like less is more. Like just don't try
Yeah.
that hard.
Yeah. I didn't mean to trash Selena Gomez.
I don't know. I'm sure.
My apologies. I know Lloyd, you're a big fan, and
Huge fan. Met her one time.
don't think she's a strong actor. But anyway,
very good girl. Yes, there are different lanes to go out there. People making internet and YouTube videos. You don't have to eat a million bugs if you want to become famous. There are things you can do.
well, there goes my bug eating endeavor.
Well, I mean, even podcasting, I think, is broken through on that level. Joe Rogan and every other comedian that has a podcast, that's an art form. Is podcasting social? No, but maybe that's great. Maybe the fact that podcasts aren't social media is why they're doing so well, because people just want to listen to something and
Yeah.
they don't want to beep 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 beep. They just want the long form conversation of it. So
Yeah, they want to vibe out to it.
yeah.
Well, that is all I've got. I think we are at our hour.
All right.
And we should talk to the audience in the chat.
Yeah. Well, cool, guys. Just as a heads up, I got a show here in Santa Monica on October 30th. It's at 9:00 at the Westside Comedy Theater. Check it out. I'll plug it a little bit more. We're here every Wednesday at noon. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do, and hit the bell so that you know when we're uploading and you get that notification. Like in the comments, and we'll see you next week.
All right, guys. We love ya.
Bye. So finicky.
Yeah, it really is. It really does its own thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Horrible.
Hi, guys. Tic Tac Grandpa.
Yeah.
I am a tic.
She's making fun of you. Okay, Al.
Oh, yeah. Somebody said podcasts are the modern day talk shows. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
The ones that have guests and stuff? Absolutely.
Rogan is definitely the new Carson. If you make an
think so?
appearance on Rogan, you are presented to the world in a way that used to be for Carson. Yes. For sure.
Yeah, he got a great podcast if you're in that demo. But there's so many good podcasts out
Yeah.
there.
Armchair Expert. I love that one.
Yeah. Kings of Influence. That's a
Kings
good
of
one.
Influence. Great podcast.
But there's just so many varieties.
Yeah.
But different kinds. People have guests. People don't have guests. People, the scripted, unscripted.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff because they're so low maintenance if you want them to be. People make a podcast in their phone with no video.
Every little topic. You know, there's improv podcasts out there and stuff. Have you all seen Shane Dawson's yet? I've been keeping track with Shane Dawson's show. He is amazing. What a good example of what you can do online and how you can continue to stay relevant, deep in the game, and continue to do intriguing work.
What's the show? He had a show?
I mean, he was making those docu-series about, he did one on Jake Paul, he did one on...
Oh, yeah,
and he like sort of dives into the minds of these very polarizing characters online. And I think his new one is a same thing of like working, but it's long form. It's like 25 minutes. He's editing himself.
Yeah, it's like a whole TV show.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
one
so
he
it's
has
not
right
a
now
podcast.
is-
It's a
No.
No,
Okay.
no. It's the one he has right now is about Jeffree Star, which he's one of like the beauty YouTubers
Yeah.
that is a very polarizing.
And he's done
personality.
stuff on Jeffree Star before. And yeah, it's great. Doing it. I mean, he is sort of taking advantage of the controversy around Jeffree Star or whatever, but it's still a cool thing. His latest is the Dolan twins. Oh, okay.
what's that?
The Dolan twins are another, I think, YouTube twins or
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
And like, I think his angle on these shows is to try to make real people out of these personas online who are demonized,
Yeah,
like a Jake
these cartoon
Paul.
characters, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is I'm hot and cold on it just because, like, yeah, Jake Paul, he's presenting a certain side of himself when he uploads things. So don't get mad when people think that that's who you are because you're the one controlling that, you know. So, but
Yeah, I think there's a level of self-awareness with Logan Paul and probably Jake as well.
yeah,
And I don't know the guys or anything like that, but I can only imagine that you get told you're acting douchey thousands and thousands and thousands of time over before you look in the mirror and go, "Oh, maybe I'm acting douchey."
yeah,
And I think that they leverage that to an extent.
yeah. I think they're real people, but I think they do. Yeah, you're either affected by it in the way that you need to be or not.
Oh,
You
there you
know,
go. There you go.
because for every person that says they're acting awful, 1,000 people are saying you're
You're amazing.
awesome.
That's true.
Some people in the chat were asking, did you guys hear about Ellen DeGeneres sitting with George W.
Oh
Bush
my
at a
God, that
game?
made me smile so hard. I
Uh,
love it.
I didn't hear it.
I can't get enough. At the football game, was it a
Yeah,
football game?
at a Cowboys game.
At the Cowboys game, George W. Bush is sitting directly next to Ellen DeGeneres up in the box.
And they're
Okay.
like having a great
Having a
time
grand
together.
old time. Dude, George W. Bush, like people used to hate him, and now he's just so cuddly compared to what's going on. I think it's so funny, and to me, it just puts a exclamation point on people just get so upset about half the side of the story, or they get so wrapped up in things, and you forget that these people are people.
Yeah. Also, if you don't, if you're watching a baseball game and you don't talk politics with them, it's probably fine and probably would never cross your
Yeah,
mind or come up
yeah,
or whatever. This guy Jenk from the Young Turks. Like I vaguely know
yeah,
him. I've had lunch with him a couple times over the years,
yeah.
and I know he's a very left, like hard left political guy, and I've had at least 2 hours of conversation with the guy at meetings and at lunch and stuff. We've never talked about politics ever,
Huh?
not even remotely, not even in the Trump era
Right.
have we had a discussion. We, talked about his family, talked about work stuff and
Yeah.
influencing and all that. And if I hadn't seen his online stuff, I wouldn't know. And
Oh,
therefore, I don't really care
yeah.
because it's like, look, if you're cool to me when we meet, I can brush 99% of your politics aside, unless you're a Nazi,
Yeah.
and then it's only 98%.
It's the people at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I think it's just how influenced you are by messages being smashed in your face and the same point of view being smashed in your face over and over and over again, and social pressure and all these things. So I know we're supposed to be talking to these guys.
oh,
That's
Someone
right.
said
okay.
Tiger Belly is good. Yeah, H3 is pretty great.
Someone said that Lloyd looks pretty much like me. Do you have Italian ancestry?
Oh yeah, I do, dog. Oh hell yeah. Viva Italia. Yep, I'm Sicilian. My
S-
That's what I
grandparents
thought.
were born in Italy and Sicily.
Do you have certain rituals that enable you to produce great quality content on a consistent basis? I mean, getting off your ass and doing it is 85% of that.
Yeah.
Just because when you make content, you'll meet 100 people who talk about making content and 3 people who actually do.
Yeah. It's definitely a self-motivated thing.
Right. And those 3 people, if they do it over and over and over and over again, they'll get good.
Yeah. You gotta get reps in.
Right, right. Exactly. You got to hit the gym, so to
Hit the
speak.
gym. Do we watch Lily Singh's late show? Any thoughts? What's my thoughts on Lily Singh's late night show?
Oh, I heard about that. I haven't seen it. I don't watch any
I've
late
seen
show.
a couple episodes. Here's what I think. I think that it's good that NBC signs a show like that for a year. I think it takes quite a bit of time to figure a show like that out. So I think it's exactly where it should be. I think she's finding her stride and she's finding what she wants to do and she's finding her voice, and also we're finding it along with her. Do I think it'll be did I ever expect it to come out of the gate like a Colbert Report? No. Do I think it will last? I do. Do I think she's going to change a lot? Yes. So I think she's right where she wants to be. I think she's right where I would expect a show that young to be.
Yeah, it's only what, a couple of months old.
A couple of months old, and you know, people. like if you're a big celebrity, right, a movie star, and you've never really met Lily Singh, you don't have anything to watch other than her sketches and stuff online. So you really like those shows are all about the rapport between the guest and the host, right? And then the online bits. So the online bits, I think she's going to be fine. But I think for her, where the growth is going to happen is how does she interact with these movie stars and with these TV stars, and how do you do what your fans are going to love with them in a way that everybody's comfortable? And that's where I think you got to figure it out, because they have years of Fallon to watch and they have years of the Tonight Show to watch. And this show is so new that there's a level of acclimation that needs to happen uh, when as it matures. Those are my thoughts.
Well, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready to get off here?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right,
Well-
guys. We love you. We'll see you. We'll see you next Wednesday,
All right.
and on all our other social media.
Yeah. Later, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.